What's going on, movie fans? My name is Michael Weer, and I like to talk about movies. In this review, we are going to talk about a brand new movie that dropped this weekend, and of course, that movie is about my father. I say, of course, because you clicked on a review that said about my father, movie review, and so, of course, that's what we're talking about. I feel like I have to say, hey, we're going to talk about my father today, just in case you were blindly clicking videos, or maybe it was on autoplay and it played my video. Hey, if this is the first time you're finding my channel, you should hit that subscribe button because I have a lot of content on my channel. I review all kinds of movies, brand new movies, old movies, horror movies if you're a horror fan, so you should definitely check out my channel. And if you could, leave a like on this video because it helps the video and it helps the channel. I really appreciate it. Let's review about my father.
I'll give a little bit of me.
You fed them their pet peacock, and you thought I was crazy for worrying that you were going to make us look like some bad Italian stereotype?
That's right. To help me get rid of the evidence.
Why does it seem like you've done this before?
And so, guys, the movie about my father is directed by Laura Taruso. It stars Robert De Niro as the mentioned father of the movie, and his son is played by Sebastian Maniscalco. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He's a comedian, and he is able to deliver those comedic lines just so brilliantly, which is one of my favorite things about this movie. We'll get to my likes in a minute. Let's jump right into the synopsis of this movie. There's not a lot of meat on this thing, so it's basically Sebastian wants to get married to his girlfriend, and he wants the ring that his mother passed down after she died, and he wants to use that ring to marry this girl, but he has to ask his father's permission to get that ring, and his father, again played by Robert De Niro, is very skeptical of anyone who's going to take Sebastian from him, and so he's like, okay, I'll give you the ring, but I gotta meet her family first. And as it turns out, the whole family on the other side is meeting at their summer home. They're a very wealthy, very well-off family, and they're meeting at their summer home, and so Robert De Niro and Sebastian go to that summer home to be with the family over the 4th of July holiday, and of course, comedy chaos ensues from there, all while Sebastian is trying to ask the girl of his dreams to be his wife. Yeah, that's a pretty good synopsis of the movie. With that said, if that sounds like a movie that you're interested in, or a movie you're like, you know what, I would check that out. Well, I recommend you wait for this one on streaming, but if you want to go check it out in theaters, you can go do that. I'm not going to tell you to not spend your money on it. But yeah, it's just one of those movies where it's like, you don't have to see it in the theaters. For me, it was more of a one watch. We'll get into that in a minute, but let's get into my likes for this movie. As far as the likes go, of course, I'm going to throw Robert De Niro at the very top of that list because he is a world-famous, world-class actor. He is absolutely fantastic in just about everything that he does. I love watching Robert De Niro on the screen. He obviously is one of my favorite actors, and so getting to see him in this movie was fun. I like seeing him as sort of the compassionate father who doesn't know how to show feelings. That was cool. It was a good way to show Robert De Niro. I've seen him as a gangster about 1,000 times. I've seen him in some comedies as of late where he plays like an older guy, and that's what he is in this movie. He's an older guy with some comedy. Best parts of Robert De Niro, in my opinion, in this movie are the parts where he has heart, and I really like that. I like seeing that side of him, especially because this movie deals with like men can't show their feelings, and so it's just nice to have a movie that's like, but they can, and so breaking that barrier between Sebastian and his father, it was nice to see. The other like I have for this movie is Sebastian Maniscalco. Again, I said earlier, he can deliver his comedic lines so damn well, and he's very funny to just listen to. Just listening to him in this movie, or seeing him and Robert De Niro be together at night to spray themselves with cologne and walk through the cologne, was just so funny. I saw that in the preview, and then in the movie they do it several times, and it's actually like a bonding moment for them, like even on nights where they're not really happy with each other, like, well, we can't go to bed stinky. And so it's just kind of funny, and I liked that. As far as my likes go for this movie, though, that's basically where they end, because then we get to my dislikes. And like I said, there's not a lot of plot to this movie. The synopsis I gave you is basically the setup for this movie, and then they have a lot of back and forth once they get to that family summer home. So that's a little bit of a dislike because there's not a lot to this movie, but that's fine. Maybe it's just a simple movie. But then you get to the core of this movie, which should be the comedy aspect, the jokes, and a lot of them didn't land for me. And I don't think that they're bad necessarily. It's just like sometimes you could tell they're talking off the cuff to each other and in portions of this movie, and those jokes don't work. The girlfriend at the summer home has two brothers, and they both are supposed to be really funny, but none of them come off that way to me. One of them's just kind of a goofball, and you could tell he's really trying. It's the guy from Workaholics. I don't know his name. I'm not going to look it up, but you could tell he's really trying. He's pushing, and it's like, it just doesn't work for me. And then on the other side of things, you have a brother that's sort of he wants to be a healer, and he's not funny, but it's just like it just doesn't, it's just not enough. It just doesn't work. And maybe that's because I grew up in a time where when I was a teenager, we had movies like Wedding Crashers and we had movies like Old School, movies that pushed as hard as they could against that line and were like, that is what an R-rated comedy is, or that is what you can get away with in a PG-13 comedy. Like, those movies were so good, and those actors and those directors, they just pushed that line of comedy. They didn't worry about who it's going to offend because that's a joke. And I feel like that's my biggest issue with this movie, is that the jokes in this movie, not only do they not land, but the majority of them are safe jokes. Not a lot of risk-taking in this movie. There's not a lot of, I'm laughing because I can't believe they just said that on the screen in a theater where I'm with other people. And that's kind of what comedy has become these days. In my opinion, it's just what it's become these days, is it's everybody's just a little too scared to push that envelope. Like, I think the movie this year that will push that envelope the most is the movie Strays, and that's probably because they're dogs talking to each other, and so people don't look at it the same way, like, oh my god, those dogs just said that. That is crazy. It's a good thing a human didn't say that, because we would cancel the actor and the director, and that's kind of what's happened to comedy these days. And so I feel like the comedy movies we're getting right now, they just don't push. They're like, we want to not be offensive. We want to have fun, but we don't want to be offensive. And there's nothing wrong with that. Not every comedy has to be offensive. And like I said, I liked the heart aspect of this movie, but the other big portion of this movie was supposed to be the comedy, and just didn't land very well for me. Overall, guys, I will say that I think About My Father is a one watch. You can enjoy this movie and be like, all right, I saw it. It was a comedy. It had a little bit of heart to it. Jokes weren't great, but I've seen it, and I don't think I'll ever personally revisit this movie again. It's just a one and done movie for me. And that's my review for About My Father. Guys, if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you want to share this review with your friends, you can do that by hitting the share button. If you have seen About My Father and you've got thoughts and you've got comments, throw those in the comment section down below. Again, not a bad movie. It's just a movie that I was hoping for more, and we just didn't get it. And so what we got was fine. I feel like I should still be laughing about jokes the next day that were in a comedy that I saw the previous day. And I'm just not. With that said, guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, make sure you do that, because I got a ton of content on my channel, including in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a review for The Flash, and I'm just so excited for that movie. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Well, guys, we got through About My Father, and yeah, I'll admit, I didn't have a lot of likes or dislikes for this movie, but overall, I just wanted to talk about it with you guys. I went and saw it, and I was like, well, I want to talk about it. Like, there were aspects I enjoyed, and they weren't the aspects I thought I would enjoy. I thought I'd be talking about the comedy, ended up talking about the heart more. I was like, I really like the aspect that they brought to this movie of like, hey, men can talk about their feelings. Like, it's nice. With that said, I don't talk about my feelings. And if you want to see any of my movie reviews, you can check out my 2022 reviews right there, or any of my 2023 reviews right there.